Hi, my name is Benjamin, and I'll be presenting the introduction for our group research paper presentation. Our group primary research review article was home-based aerobic exercise and resistance training for severe chronic kidney disease, a randomized controlled sample. So you may be asking yourself, what is chronic kidney disease? Well, chronic kidney disease also stands for CKD. It's basically a disease where your kidney decreases in function over time. And it exists in multiple types of severities, ranging from stages 1 through 4. As you go up in stages, your severity and functional decline, it's not going to get much better. So we try to avoid that whenever we do get diagnosed with CKD by going through exercise. You want to keep your body stable. You want to keep your body functioning. Stage 4 has many severe symptoms, such as weakness, functional decline, all these things that make your quality of life decrease and actually makes it harder for you to go out into the world and go to the gym, for example. So we do know a lot about how exercise lessens symptoms of CKD in less severe stages because it's been easier to test, because it's been easier to get people to the gym, to go somewhere to exercise. So we've started to think of a solution. How do we fix this? Because we don't have a lot of data on how exercise impacts CKD stage 4 because of the fact that it's harder for people in this stage to access care. So we wonder if maybe taking them at home and giving them programs to do exercise at home would be easier and lessen symptoms of CKD. How will this impact it? So that's our question. Our hypothesis is that an aerobic and resistance training program will lessen symptoms and identifiers of CKD, as well as increase quality of life in patients. Thank you.
This is the assays and methods section. The patients who were tested in this experiment had stage 4 chronic kidney disease, half of which were randomly chosen to get either the usual treatment for CKD or an exercise program to see if there were differences in the outcomes of their treatment. The exercise program consisted of aerobic exercise and resistance exercise. The incremental shuttle walking test was used to compare how the aerobic exercise affected a person's aerobic health. And the incremental shuttle walking test is just like the fitness gram pacer test, where you walk 15 meters and you try and keep up with the pace when you go back and forth. Grip strength and quadricep strength were also tested to see how the resistance exercise affected the patients. Many physical measurements in both groups were taken to compare the health of the kidneys over the time of the experiment. Measurements such as BMI, waist size, leg size, and muscle mass were measured to give the bigger picture of the patient's health, while urine and blood samples were taken to measure kidney function. The statistical tests were used to see if there was any real differences between the regular treatment group and the exercise treatment group.
Okay, and now on to the results. So while this figure may look complicated, it's really actually kind of simple and be broken down. So basically, the scientists, they started off with 242 possible patients. After looking at the candidates, they kind of had these little things that they had to verify, can this candidate do this? Can this candidate do that? And it broke down to that there were actually only 46 candidates who could participate in this experiment. And then these 46 candidates were then broken down into two groups of 23. One being the experimental group and one being the control group. And then, the scientists, they weren't told which group was which, but the candidates they knew. So this is table 1 and table 2. So table 1, that's just kind of like an overview of the data. For the candidates, just kind of showed their age, because they classified them above 65, lower than 65. And then, the male, female, how many steps they had, and just compared that. In table 2, showed the demographic, clinical, and biochemical data of the study groups. Table 3 was a correlation of the health-related quality of life scores with the aerobic capacity, and there's the related data. And Table 4 was the results of the linear regression analysis of the aerobic capacity. So what do these four tables really tell us? So going back to Table 1, that showed that nearly 100% of patients followed the exercise program that the researchers gave them. Table 2 described that the patient's starting health conditions, such as their age or other medical issues, and then this allowed the researchers to kind of have a clear picture that way of everyone's health before the program so they could compare it to after the program. Table 3 looked at how the patient's fitness levels were related to their quality of life. And it showed that patients who were more fit also tended to have a better quality of life in their day-to-day lives, which would encourage being fit. And Table 4 showed which factors best predicted how well someone would do with the walking test. And the results suggested that patients with stronger muscles and better nutrition generally perform better on these tests, which then leads back to the better overall daily life. Table 5 lists the effect of the 6-month exercise program on aerobic capacity and subgroup analysis. Table 6, the effect of the 6-month exercise program on the health-related quality of life. And Table 7, the effect of the 6-month exercise program on secondary outcomes. So again, let's break down these results. So Table 5 through 7 showed results collected during the 6-month exercise trial. Table 5 showed that people in the exercise group were able to walk much further by the end of the program as compared to those who didn't exercise. And Table 6 and 7 showed that the exercise program did improve the overall quality of life, overall health. And this was most specifically noticed in the kidney function and then also physical well-being. Additionally, common markers that doctors use to measure kidney success were lower after the program, which then further indicates better kidney health. So now on to the interpretations and summary of the author's findings. So interpretation. Over the course of the 6-month program, people in the exercise group were able to walk farther, which improved their physical fitness. Their overall physical health, their ability to do daily activities also got better, which improves, and then it's going to lead to a better quality of life. Researchers found signs that patients' kidneys were under less stress and that inflammation was lower by those markers indicated in tables 5 through 7. Now, this said, the researchers did note that mental health, social well-being, and overall body composition did not change through the exercise test. It was only their physical health. We believe that the authors interpreted their results correctly. The data provided the experiments showed that patients who exercised were healthier by the end of the 6-month program than patients who were in the control group.
I'm Evan Shadrick, and I worked on the conclusion and future ideas section of the paper. The main research question of this paper was to determine if exercise led to improvement in those with CKD. This was done by dividing 46 people into two groups of 23. One of their groups performed aerobic exercises 3 times a week and resistance exercises twice per week. And then on the bottom, on the left, you can just see some examples of different types of aerobic exercises. And then on the right, those are all examples of different types of resistance exercises. It was found that the group who performed regular exercise experienced improved physical functioning and ability. They also experienced reduced inflammation, less discomfort, and an improved perception of their quality of life. Um, The connection between exercise and an improved quality of life for those with CKD can act as a stepping stone for future research. For instance, some questions that could be answered is whether or not different types of exercise performed at varying intensities have more or less of an impact on a person considering their own specific attributes. For instance, does exercise lead to greater benefits in men or women? Another example is, does exercise have a greater effect in those who are overweight, average weight, or underweight? And then just another example of a future research question that could be tested is whether or not exercise has similar effects on other types of conditions. And the reason I ask this is there are several conditions that function the same way in the body as far as their effects physiologically and their symptoms. This suggests that exercise could lead to benefits in those conditions as well. And finally, given this newfound information, how should doctors make adjustments to their current treatment plans? And then this is just our reference slide. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation.